Oilers Nation After Dark begins now.
Whoa, that one had a little bit of everything tonight. Multiple lead changes, bad blood all over the ice, literal blood all over the ice as well. Huge hits, pucks to the face, like I mentioned, back and forth all game long. We wanted a Stanley Cup Finals rematch. Well, we got a Stanley Cup Finals rematch as the Edmonton Oilers blow a 2-goal lead at 1 point and fall to the Florida Panthers, the reigning Stanley Cup champ Florida Panthers, by a score of 6-5. Hello and welcome to Oilers Nation After Dark, after what might have been the most entertaining game of the season, I guess you could say. Present this After Dark as a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION, NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Tonight, joined by my boy Coomzy, and obviously not the result we wanted. I am exhausted just from watching that game. I probably stood up 3 times in the last 3 hours. That was, regardless of the result, and we'll get into it, the overall entertainment value of that game, Coomzy. That was incredible.
Yeah, you can't complain about the way that game went from, this is a Monday night.
Oh, I see it in the chat. I see a lot of complaining right now.
Complain. Don't take that as a challenge. I understand. We can all find
keep engaging,
complaints.
keep complaining.
I was meaning that, and yeah, that was kind of, I didn't really mean that, but you can complain about this game, but shouldn't, because it's Monday night, and that was very interesting. Like that was fun and exciting, and hats off to the Panthers. I hate doing this because we've had to do it twice in a few months now. We had to give a hats off to the Panthers in the Stanley Cup final because
I'm not taking my hat off.
Not taking your hat off. Unfortunately, my hat's off, and I took my hat off to the Panthers. But hats off to the Panthers again for this game. They showed why they're the Stanley Cup champions, the defending Stanley Cup champs, and the Oilers had them. They had that win. They were up 4-2. They had fallen behind early. They got back the lead, and they couldn't hang on to it. The Panthers showed why they're the champions. They know how to beat the Oilers. They've done it before. They did it again. And the thing for the Oilers now is figure out what you did wrong tonight and expect that you might meet Florida again in the Cup final and be better that time.
Exactly. We talked about it. I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody else coming out of the East besides the Florida Panthers. That was a playoff game through and through tonight. Let's catch up in the chat, where I want it to be extra spicy this evening. Bring it, people. Also, bring your courtesy like. Throw it down right now. Percy's in. Can't blame Stu for that. The team fell apart in the D zone, and 2 really lucky goals for the Panthers. Greg, Bouchard could not match the moment. Sadistic echoes that, says Bouch was effing horrendous. Darian volunteering to fight any trolls tonight. Pat, I don't want any more moments like that one guy saying, I'm at Boston Pizza right now, and dropped his address. None of that going on. Connor Brown's in, who was fantastic tonight, was fantastic in the last game. He says, this is Skinner's first game below 900 in a while. He doesn't suck. Thank you, Connor Brown. I agree. Dulks, thank you. I also met Dulks. Shout out at Thursday at our Nation event. He bought me a couple beers. I was a little sloppy as that night went along. He says, stop blaming Prime. Our team wasn't good enough. Tylus, 0-3 on Amazon Prime. I agree. We'll get into that in just a second, but come on, we're not cursed. We were in that game. The Oilers blew that game in the third period, which they haven't done a lot recently, but we remember to start this season, there was a lot of that. Pats fan, Bob was able to make the big saves. Stu wasn't able to. Difference of the game. I do think Stu was left out to dry a little bit. I mean, Sam Reinhart, I'll take my hat off for that goal because that was below the goal line. I've only ever seen Leon Draisaitl do that before. I guess I'll allow that. Tyler's pants. Everything sucked, stripes included. More on that later. And this one makes no sense to me from the Iron Duke. Honestly, a shitty game. I'm going to lean in and look at you for that one.
Shitty result.
What do you qualify a shitty game or a good game? Because that one had 11 goals on a Monday night on home ice. There was a fight. There were scrums. Zach Hyman almost lost his face, and he did get back out there on the ice. Regardless of the result, that game was awesome. No other way around it. And Connor Brown says, Bouchard Prime and the refs made this a frustrating one. I like Jay here. Crazy game. Could have gone either way. And before we dig in, let's rip off the Band-Aid for these super chats, because all of your money for these super chats is in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation, a cause very near and dear to every one of our hearts. Austin's in. Says for Ben on the L. ON fam. Shotguns Bordzy. I said only on wins. But we have had some nation beers tonight. Darian with $6.99. Nice. Says time to start a new streak. We're just one 16-game heater away from solving all our problems. Tammy's in, who has agreed to put in $5 for every Edmonton Oilers win. I guess for losses. And for Ben, she's throwing in $10. Says for Ben, and because I hate Kachuk's stupid smarmy face.
Yeah.
What does smarmy mean?
Smarmy is like a rude.
That's a good description of that then. That is a very, I say punchable face. And I think Darnell Nurse agreed with that as well. The Iron Duke Prime Night Hockey just sucks. Mistaken Mexican. I blame myself for that loss, boys. Yeah, maybe we all need to be looking inside. We need to be looking in the mirror. Wash the shirt I had been wearing over this winning streak. I'm sorry. Still a cup year. Still a cup year, everybody. But as I mentioned, right, that game had a little bit of everything. It had the top billing on Amazon Prime. Whether you like it or not, that is a big marquee event and network thing, whatever. Let's talk about Prime to start here because everybody complains about it. Me and you agree wholeheartedly. I have no problem with the broadcast. Yes, do I miss Jack and Louie and Gene? 100%. There's not much better than the Sportsnet Oilers team, but the quality of the broadcast. I don't know if it's just me. Let me know if you agree in the chat. There's something. It's just crisper. It's cleaner. Yeah. I don't know if we're watching it on 8K TV. It feels like it's being broadcast in 8K. The ice is sharper. Everything's sharper. The glamour shots of the city. I have no problem with Amazon Prime hockey.
The production's great. Yeah. I mean, like, I understand everybody that wants to be listening to the regular crew. You want to see Gene Principe make his jokes, Jack Michael get excited. Fair enough. Like they're a great broadcasting crew and everyone loves to watch the home team. But honestly, Amazon Prime, like baseball was the first sport. MLB was the first sport to really have this streaming. And man, like it was YouTube and Facebook, and they had some really bad streams, choppy, ugly, weird. But Amazon Stream, I understand it can be a little clunky at times what they're talking about. It doesn't always feel like they've been doing this for 20 years because they haven't. And I mean, the quality of the broadcast is very high. Like the visuals are fantastic. And when we get to our highlights, you'll be able to tell the visual quality is significantly higher than usual.
Yeah, especially when they zoom in on Zach Hyman's busted up face throughout that. Let's just say it here. We couldn't get Zach Hyman a new jersey when he was out there on the ice. That whole thing
run upstairs
was covered in blood. We then made the joke. Maybe his dad will go buy one at the Edmonton Oilers store. Boom, boom, boom. But that game through and through, right? Super, super entertaining. Playoff atmosphere. We talked on pre-gaming. For a Monday night 6:30 start, I thought the crowd would be on their bullshit tonight. They would bring that extra level of energy. They did. The Oilers did. So did the Panthers, right? We got to fight huge hits throughout it. Darnell Nurse and Matthew Tkachuk just fucking hate each other's guts. And I am here for it because it makes this rivalry way better. Vasily Podkolzin dropped the gloves where Brett Kulak, I don't think, wanted him to drop the gloves. He almost probably got suckered in the face. Kulak was in a tough spot, but that was a Stanley Cup Finals rematch through and through, highly anticipated game. And Florida came in lacking recently. They had been shut out both games on their Western Canadian road trip, Vancouver and Calgary. We both said, throw that out the window. I do not care. It's a Stanley Cup Finals rematch. Florida is going to have this one circled. They're going to be ready to come out and play. But that applied to both teams. Yes, there were errors. Yes, there were mistakes, but this was playoff style atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what you notice in this game is you can focus in on the Oilers and look at every single thing they did wrong, but you can also look at the Panthers and see a half dozen or a handful of things they did wrong too. Like we were talking in the second or third period, and it was how many odd man rushes are the Panthers allowing against? It looks like they're playing with 4 forwards and 1 D-man or something. Like they were not playing in a normal structured game with 2 D-men and a center back or whatever your usual style would be. I mean, you have to look at both teams here, and both teams, I think, get caught up in the emotional moment, and you can't play, a pure 60-minute game of hard focus, hard grind, because remember that one goal that Florida scored where there was the kerfuffle in front of the benches and it felt like everybody was looking at what was
going on. Don't quit on the play.
There. Yeah, and it looked like it was going to be this big brawl, big exciting thing, but then all of a sudden there's Evan Bouchard and Brett Kulak in the defensive zone swinging sticks around, and I think that both teams ultimately found themselves getting caught up in the emotion, but I think unfortunately the Oilers were the team who ultimately did wind up paying less attention maybe to the score and more attention to pissing off the Panthers, getting into fights with the Panthers, that kind of thing. I think the Oilers were worse that way than the Panthers.
I do think that, especially to start the game, and we'll touch on it. I read all the Evan Bouchard comments right now. Not an ideal way to start a hockey game, and I do think it. I don't know if they were already rattled because you're in your own head thinking about the rematch. After that first goal, it felt like the Oilers were kind of chasing it. Did like the move from Chris Knobloch to go Supernova, go McDry featuring Hyman in the second period. It totally worked. Then Hyman kind of falls apart the third period. It absolutely fell apart. People in here, Connor Brown, this made me laugh. The shot of Hyman's jersey with the blood on the logo gets me hyped enough to fight a literal Panther. I'm going to take your word for it. I'm going to say don't do that. G-Man, I was right into it at the game. It was a ton of fun. Would have been better if we won, though, obviously. And then the Evan Bouchard comments start to roll in. Bouchard for a bag of chips. Jeff, Bouchard needs his nap. Percy does say that game was intense as fuck. And then Nathan, can we trade Bouch for a fifth and be done with it? I'm not going to tolerate any of this. That was a brutal game from Evan Bouchard and a long list this season of brutal games. Take your pick of the litter, man. It was a tough one. He obviously had arguably the worst start for a single player to ever start a hockey game in anyone's career. Not only does he trip over the blue line, allows the breakaway to go back down the other way, he dove like a moron on that second attempt and trying to fight it. But we would also sit here and go, why didn't you dive? So, hey, respect for going the extra mile. And then seconds later, still on the power play, he gets an interference penalty on the blue line as McDavid is trying to take the puck into the zone. And what we said, all you could do was laugh at that point, right? We've seen this before. Live by the sword, die by the sword. It was comically bad of how you would start the game. Felt like it had deflated the entire team there, and then he continued to struggle for the entire game. And it's crazy, Pat, we said it, when you just know this isn't the night, it might get worse before it gets better here. He was the shin pad assassin through and through. He couldn't handle a puck. He couldn't stay on his own 2 feet at points. Arguably an all-time bad performance from Evan Bouchard. And do we have Liam's tweet here? Because this one made me laugh so hard. Liam, if you're watching, he's in here. He says, chill, brother. Not to me, but maybe you should have been a little more specific, because he said, dear Evan Bouchard, please stop hitting the other team's shin pads. Thanks, Edmonton Oilers fans. Pat, if you could also throw the photo up of Zach Hyman's face, should have been specific, because was that the worst play of the game? Then he goes out. Look at that nose, man. When this happened, we'll get into it more here with the bad and whatnot, the good, bad, and oily. He was leaking insane amounts of blood. Shout out Amazon Prime. Oh, yeah. They had it in slow-mo, zoomed in on his face. It wasn't just dripping. It was pouring like a faucet out of his nose, his cheek. I don't know. He did such a good job covering it up. More on Hyman later. Evan Bouchard. We've seen bad performances before. He did cash my shot prop bet, so not entirely bad night, but no way to sugarcoat it, Coomzy. Bouchard was an off night, to say it nicely.
I'm not sure there's ever been a more polarizing player in terms of their stats and the way they look on the eye test. And I mean, I like Evan Bouchard as a player. I've liked him since they made the draft pick. I like a D-man that can make a good first pass. This is somebody the Oilers have been missing forever. And I mean, Bouchard's a weird player because he does some bizarre stuff on the ice. Looks like he's completely lost, but then he'll make a brilliant play and make up for it. The weird thing about Bouchard in this game, and I mean, it's not all about the stats. There's always flaws, but when you look at Evan Bouchard's numbers in this game, and I'm just looking at them right now for the first time, like I wasn't looking at this during the game.
How many turnovers?
But it's this funny thing. So his on ice shot attempt share while he was on the ice, the Oilers outshot Florida 20-12. In terms of high danger chances, when Bouchard was on the ice at even strength, the Oilers had 5 and Florida had 1. Apparently that's true. It doesn't seem right to me, but the weird thing about Evan Bouchard is, well, he'll do 2 or 3 absurd things in a game like that. He does so many quiet things you don't really notice well that we're not just going to sit here and talk about, oh yeah, that nice first pass that Evan Bouchard made. But the thing with Evan Bouchard as a player is you do all those things, all those positive things, especially on offense, but you give a lot back. And that's the worry that fans have is, he's making these plays in a game against Florida now in December. That's one thing. But what happens if it's the middle of June and he has, 2 or 3 plays like that when there's no room for error? And I think that's what worries people about Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, Percy, whoa there. Bouchard had a dumpster fire game, but he's still a good piece for the Oilers. Just an ugly night for him.
Everyone's got to have a bad game.
Totally agree, and that happens. And this is the point from Doug that I always make. I can deal with Bouchard brain farts when he's scoring, but he ain't scoring right now. I've said it a million times on these shows. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And those things you talk about that you don't notice, his first pass out of the zone, tape to tape, a vast majority of the time, he does make good offensive plays, has a great shot when it's hitting the net. And obviously, that has not been happening enough this season. Bosch says, Bouch can't hit the net, but he can go tape to tape with the opponent, hit McDavid's ass and drill Hymes in the mush. Yes, tonight that happened. Matthews in. Liam told him to chill. I don't think he's chilling. He said, Liam, you can't defend Bouch at this. You can't defend Bouch at this point. You didn't even watch the game tonight, I bet. I know Liam did.
But does he know that Evan Bouchard was on the ice for 20 shot attempts, 4 and 12 against? Maybe we should make that clear.
I'm just saying. Do your own research. We can spin this any way we want. Pat, I'm curious your opinion. Patrick Puff, producer, behind the scenes as well this evening. Where do you come out on this, right? Because it's nothing new. Like, I saw Rusty is in here with a super chat. We'll do the whole Ben Stelter thing in a second. But he said the amount of people freaking out is hilarious. Relax, people. We were 8-2 in our last 10 and have been one of the best teams in the NHL lately. In that sense, I get, we've seen this from Evan Bouchard before. It's nothing new. Won't be the first time. Won't be the last time. Pat, your thoughts on the roller coaster that was Evan Bouchard tonight, I'll say.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will just freak out because they want some consistency, and I get that. And, especially playing the Florida Panthers, right? There's a little bit of animosity in this game, of course. So everyone's emotions are a little high. I do get frustrated watching Bouchard sometimes, obviously, that first couple of plays, and then he whiffs on a couple of passes into the zone, and you're like,
do you remember when I threw my hat?
Yeah, I'm surprised it still looks like that. You whipped that thing. But like overall, though, I like that we try and think big picture when it comes to these guys. And most of the time, Bouchard's good and he helps this team. Sometimes he's going to have an off night, but so is everyone. So, yeah, right now I'm a little upset at him, but by tomorrow, I think I'll be over it.
Alex Neal says it best. Moving on, because it is what it is. Schedule gets a little bit lighter coming up. Lance, that's just hockey. I agree. You're going to have good games. You're going to have bad ones. Nathan, I don't hate Bouch, but he needs to move down for some games. Everyone needs to be accountable. Maybe, I don't even think for a full game, maybe you could have done shifts to start this game. But thing is, do you guys think Evan Bouchard wants to make these mistakes? Like, do you think he's going out there? Saw somebody said he was wearing a Panthers jersey tonight. We saw one, the play ended, and he was going just in the whistle, and they zoomed in on him, and he was like talking to himself like, holy fucking shit, what is going on right now? It was bad for him too. And one man who was incredible this evening and continues to be incredible is Zachary Martin Hyman, regardless of the puck to the face. It is beyond stupid that Zach Hyman is not on Team Canada's roster. I get it. Travis Konechny's, your Seth Jarvis's, those guys, Sam Bennett, they are good hockey players. They are good role players. I understand the debate. They cannot do what Zach Hyman has been doing for the last 365 days. And the fact he can do this with 97 in a short-term tournament is crazy to me. I understand, yes, he started the season slow. He had 3 goals in 20 games. We all knew those numbers would turn around. Holy shit, have they ever turned around? 7 goals in his last 6 games. But it wasn't like he was even playing bad before this. He was getting chances. He was getting opportunities. He just wasn't getting the puck luck. It showed his shooting percentage before the injury, 5%. His shooting percentage right now, since that injury, 31%. And none of us in Oilers land, at Oilersnation, Oil Country fans, no one is shocked or surprised that Zach Hyman has turned this around. And come on, Zach is so back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even when Zach Hyman was having a slow start to the season, I don't think there was really ever a point where anybody was watching him thinking, oh man.
He was like top 3 in expected goals.
Yeah, exactly. It was always high quality chances in front of the net. He was getting stoned by the goalie these things happen. I mean, there was a handful of guys in the Oilers who were snake bit at the same time. And I think we all knew Zach Hyman was going to come around, barring some sort of injury, something messed up happening. Zach Hyman's going to start to score goals. That's what he's done ever since coming to Edmonton. That's what he was doing in Toronto as well. He's done it pretty much his entire career in the NHL. So we all knew Zach Hyman was going to come around eventually. And I mean, this is a player who it was surprising seeing that snipe that he had in his first goal. Like we've seen so many Zach Hyman like rebounds and deflections, and every once in a while you get a goal where you're like, damn, those are nice hands, some good skill right there. Damn,
that breakaway was a thing of beauty. Hang it in the Louvre. Yeah, I see some people in here. Hyman's got that dog in him. Somebody said Nugent is better. At least spell his name correctly. There's a hyphen in there. It's Nugent Hopkins. One area we got to go. I see we already spent 21 minutes, and we have, they say a lot, the longest scoring summary in the world. Tonight is the longest scoring summary in the world. Let's talk goaltending, because heading into the third period, Coomzy, I looked at you and I said, man, Stuart Skinner is out-dueling Sergei Bobrovsky again after what he did in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then that wasn't Stuart Skinner's best performance, I will say. It fell apart in the third period. I'm not sitting here saying Stuart Skinner lost us that game. The defensive breakdown on the one by the bench, absolutely insane. The Sam Reinhart goal, yes, you can complain and say, Stu, you can't allow that. A good shot's a good shot, man. Respect Sam Reinhart. Sam Reinhart scored a lot last season and is continuing to do that right now. But shit, man, it was rough at points. You just wanted to save 22 saves on 28 shots for a 786 save percentage. He came into this one, I believe, with an 897. We're trying to think of the math. How many will it take for him to get above 900? Sadly, that is not going to be the case tomorrow when we check our stats. And then on the other side, right, we saw it. Somebody said in the chat there that Bobrovsky outplayed Stuart Skinner and he made the saves when it mattered most. And that was the difference. Sure, I can subscribe to some of that. Bobrovsky, 25 of 30 for an 833. So it's not like we were seeing the greatest goaltending ever out there on the ice tonight. Thoughts on the goalie battle?
Not much of a goalie battle, unfortunately. It was wound up being which goalie was less.
How about the goalie pillow fight?
It was the goalie. I mean, they both were there. They both participated. It was more of the goalie participation is what it was, unfortunately. But the one thing that I'll give Sergei Bobrovsky, and he did not look good in the first two periods. There was a couple of goals. There was the Connor Brown one that went in, and we were looking at that, and we are thinking, how does that find its way in the Leon Draisaitl one? Seeing eye shot from the corner. We've seen Leon Draisaitl do that many times before, but every time it happens, you look at the goalie and you're thinking, you know, what are you trying
What's
to do
going on
there?
there?
But Bobrovsky didn't have a good game in the first and second period, but in the third, I think he really bared down. I think, you know, there was the Kasperi Kapanen goal. That was a little battle in front of the net, but otherwise a lot of really big saves from Bobrovsky, especially on Zach Hyman. A couple of key chances in the third. We really thought he was going to get that hat trick, and we were like, there it is, there it is, there it is. It didn't happen.
You know how much I believe in Zach Hyman? Third period, we got a glimpse of him on the bench wearing that bubble. And I said, I'm betting him to get the hat trick. Plus 450, bet Zach Hyman to score in the third period. He got robbed twice, or robbed once on the breakaway thing, and then one had an active stick poke off his one-timer, and he was still on one knee. Like, I was about to bury that bad boy. Let's go now. People are telling Liam, go away. I love you, Liam. Never go away. Let's go now to the scoring summary brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg. Favorite spot in the city. Home game tonight. It's a Monday, sure. You can always have your suds. Next one's going to be Thursday night against the Boston Bruins. And Greta is your spot for pregame. It's your spot for postgame. It's your spot during the game if you don't have tickets. Elite TV setup. Elite arcade games all over the place. Awesome weekly drink specials. And damn good food. All right, let's try and do this, man, as this takes up 1.5 pages on my notes right here. The first goal of the game is Boquist, shorthanded, unassisted, as there it is. And there's that dive as well as he takes it in. Boquist, that is shorthanded, goes down. Is that the first shot of the game, Coomzy? It absolutely was the first shot of the game for the Florida Panthers. Nothing new. You go from being on the power play 2.5 minutes into the game and going, holy shit, this might be the greatest start that you could ever ask for, to bam, it's gone as Bouchard. Hey, everyone was tripping over that imaginary blue line going on tonight. Coomzy, this play was brutal. Went from bad to worse there as he falls and then falls again on the dive. Shorthanded, goal against, unassisted. That's a backbreaker to start the game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We really saw this one coming, though. I mean, like you see Florida coming into this game having been shut out by Vancouver and Calgary on this road trip already, and you just knew that they were going to score a goal against the Oilers in the first 5-10 minutes of play, whatever it was going to wind up being. And of course, it winds up being a bizarre goal like this, where Evan Bouchard's trying to drag the puck along the blue line, then trips over something. I mean, I think we saw 3 or 4 guys trip over a blue line in this game. There was Darnell Nurse when he came out of the penalty box. He tripped over something or nothing. Who knows what it was, but the Panthers, you just know they were sitting in their room before this game. They were sitting on the bus, the flight, whatever it was from Calgary, and they were thinking, we have got to score against the Oilers in the first few minutes of this thing.
And we knew it was going to happen. Matthias Janmarkson selling his teammate down the river. Was Bush -6?
No,
he was -2. Come on. We're not doing that right now.
That's right.
That's way better. Iron Duke is in. He said, Bordzy, didn't you say last game that I was going to be the longest credit scoring summary? The longest credit scoring summary so far. Shout out the Simpsons for that. Because this one, that had 9 goals. This one has 11. We then get to Zachary Martin Hyman's 9th of the season, assisted by Evan Bouchard and 1 Connor McDavid. As you see him work it up here, some great plays made. Bing, bang, boom. Yep, and there he comes in. Coomzy, we made the joke that we said, Hyman, I wasn't familiar with your game. Thought you only scored off, I was about to say your face. That would have been a premonition if I would have said that during. But he walks in here, goal scorer's goal, right? He can score any way you want. You give him that much time and space in the slot. I love how the Oilers have been hitting the trailer coming in. Connor knows where Hymes is at all times, and he labeled that one past Bobrovsky's shoulder.
Yeah, this was we were all kind of shocked with this one. We were like, we saw the goal go in and we were like, who was it that shot that? Was that Leon? Was it Connor? That's Zach Hyman sniping that goal. Of course. We always see Zach Hyman with his gritty goals, goes to the front of the net, bangs off his leg or his ass or whatever, buries a rebound. But nice reminder here that Zach Hyman's got a slick pair of mitts.
He does, man. Would look pretty good in a Team Canada uniform. We then get to Matthew Tkachuk's 11th goal of the season, which counted, and I think is total bullshit. Let's take a look at it here. As Matthias Ekholm cannot get the puck out of his own end, the Oilers are shorthanded. It's the final minute of that first period. Credit to Carter Verhaeghe. He executes a really well done slap, shot, pass, whatever you want to call this thing. Sends it right over to Matthew Tkachuk, who, yes, he redirected the puck. I also, and we'll get into this with the Oilie, because I see a lot of complaints about the referees tonight. I also had some complaints tonight. Maybe not the reason we lost, but also remember, Darnell Nurse, this was a 4-minute minor right here because that sensitive referee decided to tee him up like it was basketball or some shit like that. And we see it here. In my opinion, Bordzy's opinion, if that was a redirect, you would not see his foot move forward. It is the act of his foot moving. It's a tough one. We can debate it till we're blue in the face, and we will with the Oilie later. Coomzy, thoughts on this one?
Oh, I don't know. It seemed to me like, I mean, you've seen dozens of goals called back where a guy just tilts his foot and it redirects off of it. And it doesn't look like he's trying to kick it per se, but ultimately what he's doing is adjusting the angle of his foot. And going forward. Yeah, he's adjusting the movement of his foot. He's adjusting the angle so that the puck bounces off of it. That's what he's doing. And whether it bounced off of the goalie or somebody's stick or something happened, the reason the puck redirected that way is because he, did something with his foot. And that's kind of contrary to what we're trying to do in hockey, as you're trying to score with your stick. That's what I've been led to believe. All right,
I agree with the chat now. Liam, you're out. I think that's a redirect, not a kick. Liam was
fuck
first.
Off, Liam. Get out of here. Jeez.
I'm kidding, Chell. That was kicked in.
Liam thinks we're watching soccer right now. He's like, oh, that's a good goal then, mate. Oh, you kicked the ball.
I like that a lot. Kicking motion. Minecraft said he doesn't think it's a kick. I'd say let's make a poll what the opinion is. I know what the poll is going to say. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
Are Oilers fans mad they got scored on? Yes.
I've been looking at this chat. I know how you guys feel about this one. We then go to the second period where Zachary Martin Hyman scores his second in the game, 10th of the season, assisted by McDavid and Leon Draisaitl off of a defensive zone draw going supernova. I mentioned I love the move from Chris Knobloch. Great initial pass from Leon to Connor. And Connor going the extra mile. Bouchard, that's how you dive to keep the puck alive, makes the play, sends it to Zach Hyman, and what a move, what a goal, what a celebration even too, as he goes flying into there. Zach is so back, like I said, and we just talked about him sniping on the last one. This was nasty breakaway move from Zachary Martin Hyman.
It absolutely was. I mean, Zach Hyman's absolutely in one in this game. First, the snipe, and then the breakaway, the dangle. This looked just like a goal that was scored in the Stanley Cup final. And I find myself not remembering, was it Zach Hyman that scored this goal, or was it Adam Henrique or somebody else that I'm misremembering? I feel like it was in game 6, but I can't remember what it was. But that did bring back a memory to me. If anybody in the chat can tell me what goal I'm thinking about, that'd be great.
Now I don't know what to believe. Liam's in and says this is a Liam parody account. Maybe. And then sometimes I have to look at Bordzy with a photo of me in the chat, and I'm just like, wait, what? What is going on? Now, momentum starts to change. You go McDry, you go Supernova, you score. Well, 43 seconds later, Perry and Brown enter the zone where Connor Brown, 2 goals in 2 games. Perry throws the pass, as you'll see it here. The Oilers get in the zone, and not the greatest angle of goals to allow from Sergei Bobrovsky, as Perry just plays it down low. And Brownie, you can't score if you don't shoot. I've chirped him a lot before about his inability to finish. That one just, dude, great play. Way to put it in an area that Bobrovsky's going to be sliding over late. And Brownie, great game from him tonight. 2 points on the night, had 2 points in the last game. Shout out to this one. Felt like the tide was turning.
It did. It felt like the Oilers, when they scored this goal, that they had grabbed the horns of the game. It felt like we're in control of this thing. Florida had the nice start. They got the early lead, but the Oilers grabbed it and pulled themselves back. And I think this is what's sort of frustrating when you look at how they grabbed the 3-2 lead, the 4-2 lead. Then after this, the win was right there. They did enough things to win the game, but they did a few more things to ultimately result in them losing the game.
Connor Brown says, downtown Connor Brown. Percy, this is too funny not to read. Let the Brown gates open wide. That's going to move right past that. And there it is, what Team Canada should be looking like upcoming. Shout out to, I think it was Oilers Adam on this one. He also had somebody responded to the tweet and was like, here, let me help you out with that photo. And then they photoshopped a black eye onto Zach Hyman's face. The internet was undefeated tonight. The internet did not lose. The Edmonton Oilers lost tonight. Then it's Leon Draisaitl's league leading 23rd of the season. Oilers on the power play, assists from Ekholm and Connor McDavid. Leon from his office, stop me if you've seen this before, assisted by Connor McDavid directly. They're just playing back and forth, pitch and catch. And the point that I want to make out that I don't really understand, harder to see it there, Pat. We saw when they showed the replay and whatnot, kind of looked like Draisaitl was like pointing. We thought maybe over at a teammate in front of the net. Then we realized, who's he pointing at? Is he pointing at Sergei Bobrovsky? Is he chirping Bob right there? Either way, the important part being he absolutely knifed from his office a spot in a power play goal where, like, who's that to? What's he doing there? He's giving a little bit of a look. I like sassy Leon. We like pissy Leon Draisaitl, and this was a classic Leon Draisaitl power play goal.
It was. We've seen this one many times, and I mean, it's got to be what, like 20, 25, 30 times he's scored this goal in his career by this point. And it's,
I would think more.
You've done it 50 times that he's done this. And it's, it's been 8 years that he's been doing this. And you kind of wonder, like, how are teams not stopping this? How is a guy, you see them passing it back and forth, and it's like Bobrovsky knows this is coming. Leon Draisaitl is going to take a big shot from the corner. Okay, like, I'm ready. I see the passes going back and forth, and he still doesn't stop it. It's a shockingly unbeatable move the Oilers have.
It's incredible, right? Alex Ovechkin made an entire career. Steven Stamkos made a career on the reverse side, and there's Leon Draisaitl doing Leon things. Okay. Then the luck starts to turn the wrong way for the Edmonton Oilers. Gustav Forsling scores his 5th of the season from Ekblad and Lundell. This one sucked, and this is where I said the bad luck just started to turn here. Panthers were owning possession in the Oilers zone. Lundell just blasts one on net. Skinner makes the initial save, and then I saw tweets from people in the building being like, I do not know what happened. We did not understand what happened. Well, shout out to Amazon Prime. They did give a good replay as this puck goes off Stu, bounces forward, hits Emberson in the back. I think then he was getting kind of pushed. Felt like his shoulder even then bumped it in for good measure. Stuart Skinner looks confused by Emerson's reaction. Felt like he felt it hit him in the back and then end up in the net. Once again, like Connor Brown, you can't score if you don't shoot. Pucks on net, and they got the bounce there, and it started the comeback.
This felt like the game changer for Florida. They needed that good, weird bounce to get them the momentum away from Edmonton, because it was, what was it? Those 3 goals the Oilers scored were over the course of what was about 3.5, 4 minutes or something like that. Like a pretty quick succession of just bang, bang, bang goals. And it looked like the Oilers were going to go into the intermission. Comfortable lead, but Gustav Forsling, you throw a puck on net, just finds its way in. I mean, that's what the Panthers do.
It's what they do. Also, that's actually a good time for me to. Coomzy and I, we're having a couple of these bad boys. Odd Company Nation beers, get them. LiquorConnect.com or both Odd Company locations in the Edmonton area for game day, for every day. Do whatever you want. We love Odd Company.
We do.
We had a couple of those.
We had a couple of Nation beers, and I commented. I said, look, I've been around for a long time. It's been almost 10 years, and I've had a lot of different Nation beers, and I think this is the best one.
I think by far. Maybe it's because I had some of the older canned versions. I came after they were brewed. So the ones that just been collecting dust that
Before
I
it was just leftover beer. People have been drinking, just pour it into another cup. But now they got a brewery.
And now we got everything going. We got everything. Okay, so then it's Nico Mikkola ties the game up 4-4 in the third period. And this was the one. If you blame Evan Bouchard for this goal, you weren't watching hockey tonight, people, because Jeff Skinner goes up by the boards there, takes a huge hard hit. He's a little man, but it felt like Rico then skates up into the boards, and it's tough because you can't really see it here. He skates up trying to get him the scrum. Connor McDavid jumped on the ice, turned his back to the play completely, didn't even get in the scrum, then hopped back up off the ice while turning his head and realizing, holy shit, the puck's in our own end and Evan Bouchard is getting swarmed. This is a tough one. Mikkola, where was Brett Kulak also on that play in the bottom of his screen? He's already in the corner.
Where's everyone?
And then he comes out, obviously has to play that pass. And where's everyone? It's not Brett Kulak. Where are all the forwards? And we saw where they were. Thought the play had stopped. You go tell the whistle.
Yep.
This was insane. Allows them to tie up the game, and the building pretty quiet after that one.
This is the one we were talking about earlier when it seems like, both teams didn't have the 100% A game. Nobody was perfect in this one. Fine. But this was where you could see that the Panthers bared down in the third period and they had a job to get done, whereas the Oilers, I think, got a little bit caught up in the emotion of this game. I think what was going on in front of the nets there, I believe it was Jonah Gadjevich that made a hit on somebody near the boards there, and Jonah Gadjevich, and Gadjevich was the player who had made the play with a stick on Stuart Skinner earlier in the game. So perhaps some animosity from the Oilers when they saw a player they were pissed at earlier do something else. I don't know. Maybe everybody wanted to have a scrap right there in front of the net, but only one guy on the ice was watching the puck there, and it was Bouchard, and he couldn't get it out. And Brett Kulak was back there as well, but don't know what was going on. Everybody looked distracted on that play, and that's not really what you should be doing when you have a 1-goal lead against the defending Cup champions.
Liam, or maybe fake Liam, says, where the duck was everyone? To Doug, boys forgot hockey was still being played, and this sucks. Ryan Smith knows, I agree. The only time I noticed Jeff Skinner, LOL, yeah, that's pretty fair.
He had a pretty, I'm not going to dig into the stat sheet for everyone here, but Jeff Skinner had a uniquely ugly stat sheet in which he was on the ice for 10 minutes and 49 seconds at even strength, and the Oilers had 0 shot attempts, 4 and 14 against. You don't see that every day. Not one wrist shot from the blue line, nothing.
Repeat for the class.
10:49 at even strength for Jeff Skinner on the ice, in which the Oilers 0 shot attempts, 4, 14 against.
That is absurdly bad. And I understand you can box score hunt all you want, can make numbers look like anything. That matches the eye test and what Nathan the other guy just said. Nathan says, really, where the F were they? Where was everybody? Skinner did get run over, but Connor McDavid hopped on the ice him for that and didn't do anything about it. Rico looked like he was going to defend his teammate and then actually didn't do shit. So either way, I digress. That's where it started to get really bad. And then 30 seconds later, it is Sam Reinhart. Hey, man, he scored a lot of goals last season for a reason, and he scored this one. tough play here from Matthias Ekholm. So many dudes were slipping and falling all over the ice this evening. Reinhart, give him credit. He goes for that battle. He wins that battle, wins that race, takes the puck below the goal line. And that is a perfectly placed shot. I think Stu plays that 99% correct on there. And what are you going to do? It's a good shot. It's a good play from a very effective goal scorer. My God, did this suck. This was such a well-placed shot. It popped off the strap on the back of Stuart Skinner's helmet. It was really the only bit of daylight in the net, and he found a way to do it. I will take my hat off for that one. I will tip my hat off. Coomzy, thoughts on that's a goal I said. I've only seen Leon score.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I feel like we've actually hilariously watched the Oilers score goals like this a few times. I feel like the Oilers more often than most other teams. And I mean, there's no stat for this. Nobody is keeping track of this, but nobody's keeping track of how often you score from behind the net. But I feel like we've seen the Oilers do this a handful of times. And I mean, Sam Reinhart's a very good goal scorer. That's the reason he made Team Canada over, Zach Hyman, for example. But you see a goal like this, and that's a goal scorer's goal. Like, you have to be good to be lucky. You don't just inexplicably bullshit into a goal like that. You got to do things that are right to make something like that happen.
Amazing shot. Don't blame Stu, number one fan. This is what McDavid does 100%. That is a Connor move. Hey, it happens. Also, Liam's in here, and he said trip maybe. Seemed weird. The refs talked about it. When we watched our replay back, I feel like Ekholm falls before the stick gets moved in. Either way, pencil or put a pin in that for the Oilie as well. Yeah, show me one more time here because it kind of zooms in, does the cut.
I think the same blue line because
something was in the blue line.
Yeah, what's going on?
Something was going on in that blue line. So Panthers take the 5-4 lead. They got some bounces. They got some luck. And we said, I'd like some luck, please. Well, Kasperi Kapanen scores his 4th of the season, assisted by Brett Kulak. As I see here, puck took a weird bounce off a shot from the blue line, right? And it ends up behind the net where Kapanen and his line mates there digging for the pucks. They're battling for it. And I guess the theme today is you can't score if you don't shoot. You can't score 11 goals if you don't shoot, combined by both teams. Kapanen, hard-nosed play, battling down there, down low. He does have a big body. Who wants it more? And he finds a way to bank it off of Sergei Bobrovsky, his pads or whatever back there. Great celly from him. He was jacked up. The building was back into it. I did like they had the flyby. I'm just loving Amazon Prime. But they did the flyby and they had the angle. And he clearly went up to the front of the line, front of the bench. And he goes, fuck yeah, boys. Fuck yeah. You got to love that through and through. But Kapanen continuing to make plays. This was clutch. You needed it. They don't ask how. They ask how many.
This is what the Oilers need. We talked about this back in October when nobody was scoring. Like, it was nobody on the team, second line, third line, fourth line, even the first line. Nobody was getting it done. I mean, we talked about this. The Oilers just needing bottom 6 contributors. And I know Kasperi Kapanen's playing on the second line, but we're talking a bottom 6 style player, a waiver wire pickup who makes a pretty small contract. And this is what the Oilers really badly needed to find, was just players who they could plug and play in the lineup, bring some speed, go to the net. The Oilers have been getting chances all year. They've been a good team in terms of shot attempts towards the net, opportunities to score, but they haven't been converting. So what you needed was players who can skate, put their stick on the ice, and go to the net.
Liam, he's killing me. He's getting the MVP in the chat. I'm watching on my TV and messaging on my phone. Double views. Shout out Lehman. We like that. And then Carter Verhaeghe scores the game-winning goal, 13:05 into that third period, because somehow, some way, we decided to leave Carter Verhaeghe that wide open in the dead slot. Holy shit, look at that. That's bad, man. That can't happen. And it looks like it could have been Kasperi Kapanen's man. I don't know. Defensive breakdowns. That's kind of the theme of this entire third period. Once again, not blaming Stu. Ekholm's got him completely screened. Pretty sure Ekholm has his back turned to the play going on behind him there. And just a tough one. What'd you think here? You cannot allow Carter Verhaeghe to sit in front of the net. We talked a lot on pre-gaming. Panthers had 5 guys with 20 or more points this season. Their top 6 has goal scorers all over. Not even ones that are strictly passers, strictly snipers. They can do it all kinds of guys. Carter Verhaeghe, one of them. He scores the game winner, and that said goodnight to the Edmonton Oilers.
It did. It was a frustrating one because there was chances for the Oilers to score before this, and it felt like when they got the tying goal, the Kasperi Kapanen goal that were perfectly marked here for a Zach Hyman game winner, something crazy like that, or a Leon Draisaitl goal, something like that to send the crowd home happy after what was an exciting game, like a back and forth roller coaster ride, a weird game. It looked like the Oilers had a really good chance here to make it happen, and it was Florida that went out and just grabbed this thing. It was their top six that went out, and they found the holes in Edmonton's defense and got the job done. I mean, that sounds incredibly cliche and corny to say, but that's what the Panthers did in the Stanley Cup final as well as what they did in Game 7.
Cliches are cliches for a reason, because they tend to be accurate, and sometimes you need your big dogs to be your big dogs. You want positive news, though? Bordzy's Bankroll went 3 for 3 yet again this evening. We'll touch on it in a minute. But let's go now to the good, the bad, the oily, brought to you by Oodle Noodle, baby, because it's Nudes Miss. Win free nudes for an entire year at all participating Edmonton Oodle Noodle locations. You walk in, you get a raffle ticket, you drop it in the box, and by Christmas, New Year's, they're going to do a draw at all participating Edmonton locations, and you could win free nudes for an entire year and many other exciting prizes. We love Oodle Noodle down here. We love our fearless leader, Jay and Wanye. Also, Waz has been making Oodle Noodle TikTok videos lately. They're amazing. They're banging. They're so funny. They make me laugh. Shout out to Waz. We'll start off with the good, right? And we went tonight the entertainment level through and through. Apparently, Iron Duke said that game sucked. Don't know what you were watching this evening. I've never been so awake on a Monday night game for the Edmonton Oilers. You got your money's worth if you were in that building tonight. Yes, you wanted to win, but it was lead change after lead change. We had, I'm going to say a fight in quotations because I think it counted as 5 minutes, but I don't know. Both gloves were off. We can say Brett Kulak just trying to avoid that one. The star players showed up, like you mentioned. Role players showed up. Both goalies were up and down throughout. It literally had it all this evening. We touched on it. Don't need to get crazy, but entertainment level through the roof tonight.
It was. This is a game that we all had circled in the calendars. Everyone did. The Panthers did. The Oilers did. The fans did. The media did. Everybody was interested in this game. Amazon had it circled as well. That's why they chose it as one of their Monday games. And it lived up to the expectation. I mean, we watched this game in a couple of different times. We're all saying to each other, man, like, it'd be fun to watch the Oilers and Panthers play in a 7-game series again. You know, we'd obviously love for it to be, over within 4 games or 5 games and see the Oilers lift the Stanley Cup. But I don't know. I think most of us would be down to buckle up and watch that 7 times in June. That's an exciting game. I mean, the two teams, exactly. This SCF 2025 preview. The two teams, I don't think there's like hatred bad blood, but there's some bubbling bad blood there where
there's bubbling hatred bad blood.
It's bubbling. It's getting there. And I think
there's already hatred with Nurse and Kachuk.
Yeah,
there's definitely hate with
small
Kachuk,
beefs on the ice. Like there's a few guys. This guy hates that guy, and I think they respect each other as opponents. But a few more meetings, and this can turn into like Edmonton and Vegas a couple of years ago, like two teams that absolutely fucking hate each other.
And as I said, it's so crazy because I've never even had a thought about the Florida Panthers in my life before.
No,
I was just like, oh.
They won more
more
playoff games in the past 2 years than they had in their entire franchise's history.
I remember that during the Cup run. I remember reading your game notes and your articles. Lance is in. How am I supposed to sleep after that game? You watch Oilersnation After Dark, and we all come down together. The dog, very entertaining game. Such a crazy game. Could have gone either way. Cup preview. And Rusty, threw in some good. The good today? I deadlifted 475 pounds. LOL.
Oh, yeah.
Shit, dude. That's impressive. That sounds quite heavy. We've all been following Rusty's health journey so far along in this chat. Rusty, we love you. Stick taps in the chat for Rusty because that was good. That was good. Also, Mackay and Dry Nation beer to help him sleep. Leaving out the other. I'm not reading the other one. I didn't read the other one. The bad this evening, we went with Hyman's face. I don't even bad covers it. And it's because I'm sick and demented. I can't wait to see what this looks like tomorrow morning when he has to do an interview. The amount of swelling that's going to go down. I said, does he have a concussion? Like, you'd have a headache from that thing coming on. The good is that he did return in the third period and looked by his results on the ice in his play. No worse for wear at all throughout that one, but that was a brutal sight to see. Bang, right up in the face. It gets tipped. He, give him credit, knew immediately, grabbed his face immediately, which I am a little upset about. I wish he didn't. I wish we could get a camera in there. We could have saw what that looked like initially. Hopefully somebody in the back before they did whatever they had to do took a photo or something so we can know, Zach Hyman, you are a warrior to come back from this game. That nose is going to be 3 times the size tomorrow. As I said, there was so much blood coming out of his face, out of his nose. It looked like a full-on sink running blood out of the tap, like Shining opened up the elevator and it was just coming down. And the crazy part I mentioned, we couldn't get the man a new jersey. Now, he does look like a warrior, does look like a hockey player. That thing had so much blood on it. I feel for the guy, feel for what he's going to be going through tonight. Like, Lance, you just said, how are you going to sleep tonight? How is Zach Hyman going to sleep tonight? He can't breathe through that nose. There's going to be no ability to do anything. Zach, you are a warrior. The good is coming back, but the bad is, that was brutal, man.
Yeah, the bad was Evan Bouchard. We all asked, please stop shooting at shin pads. And then he goes and hits Zach Hyman in the face.
Walk it off.
Stop it out. He looked like, it honestly, like when he was skating off the ice right after it, he looked like it was like kids playing ball hockey in the basement or something. And he's like rubbing his nose trying to run upstairs and be like, but I mean, as soon as this happened, the first thing that popped into my mind was Ryan Smith during the 2006 playoffs when I think it was against San Jose. Chris Pronger does what's going to be, I think he was trying to chip it off the boards or do kind of a shovel pass or something. He just drills Ryan Smith in the face. And Ryan Smith came back and scored in that game. And we all 3 of us thought, we were like, Zach Hyman's going to score the hat trick in this game for sure. And it's a shame he didn't, because, we love our Zach Hyman, Ryan Smith comparisons. We love them. And if Zach Hyman had gotten drilled in the nose and then scored a goal, would have been perfect.
That was why I bet him plus 450 to score in the third period. It just felt written in the stars. And he tried. They said Pronger was the one that smoked him. It's just a flesh wound. Walk it off. Be a man.
Just an arrow to the knee.
And then Jay says Joel Embiid would miss 2 to 4 weeks from that. He'd miss the entire season. He is already trying to miss the entire season. Hyman, you're a warrior. You're an absolute warrior. That's why you should be on Team Canada. Now
something to consider, actually. Do you think that Zach Hyman only came back on the ice because his dad's rich? Did his dad just drag him out there?
You have to think. You have to
ask yourself
the question. That's what we do here, okay? That's what we do. There's good, there's bad, and then there's oily. So tonight we said the reffing, and I'm going to preface this with, reffing is not why we lost this hockey game, okay? It was 6-5. Any moment you had a 2-goal lead in the third period, whatever, it's not why we lost. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention some things that I was throwing my hat around today for, because so it starts with the Darnell Nurse knee on knee call. Totally a knee on knee. Totally understand that trip, whatever you want to do, whatever. The thing I got frustrated by is it's the first period. Now, I don't know what Darnell Nurse said. He could have said some egregiously awful things. I don't think in the first period you can then be soft like a basketball referee. And he did it, the ref, so aggressively. Gave him a technical, gave him a T, turned it into a 4-minute power play for the Panthers, where they, on those next final 2 minutes, is where they scored the Matthew Tkachuk goal, which brings us more into refereeing. I believe that there was a kicking motion in there. I can understand the debate through and through. Did get reviewed. I guess it goes through the proper channels. So refereeing even includes Toronto. I thought that was a little bit of bullshit, but hey, it's not the first time that call is going to go that way. And then the final one was Stuart Skinner taking that stick right into the face, as I forget who it was, trying to round around the net. And the referee was right there, so close, in fact, that he then blew the play dead, went over to Stuart Skinner to tap him and say, are you okay? Did not make a call on that one as well. Just let me vent. I thought that was early tonight. I got frustrated throughout that. It was a little insane, some of these calls through and through. I'm sure there was ones missed, and for the Edmonton Oilers as well. Thoughts, Coomzy, on the overall refereeing tonight?
Yeah, I already made my comments on the kicking motion. I thought, I don't know, that to me seemed, I feel like I've seen many goals called back for that exact thing. I don't know what that was all about. The technical penalty that was called on Darnell Nurse was so odd, because I just
He just did it like that.
You don't really see that in hockey. That's not a thing. You're a basketball ref offering a technical foul. It felt like it was Tim Peel going out after one drink onto Facebook and getting a little too excited. That's sort of what it felt like to me. It happens a lot in baseball with umpires becoming the ump show, and you want to be the main character. Every single ref out there, you are not the main character. Nobody wants this. Nobody, not a soul.
Well said. Well said, Coomzy. Yep. Also, Nick's in here. He says Pods cross-check. That one there as well. But was there a penalty on that play? I think there was. Either way, Pods. I'll call a timeout on the Oilie right now. The thing about Pods that I love, he gets drilled in the back, right? Goes flying into the boards, which I guess boarding isn't a thing because we saw Jack Eichel do it the other game.
That
on
was
Saturday.
a battle.
That one.
That was a battle.
Fucking egregious calls. But either way,
Dumb.
regardless, Pods Colson, what I love about Vasily Pod Colson, yes, the effort, yes, the tenacity, the big body that hits the everything. He got absolutely drilled into the boards face first. Knew a call was coming. Didn't flop. Didn't dive. Got right back up, dropped his mitts, delivered a shot to the face, and said, my argument being right that there isn't a ton of tough guys on the Edmonton Oilers. Pods is one of them. You can't wait for someone to come in and defend for you. I love that from Vasily Pod Colson. But that does it for the good, the bad, and the Oily. Brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Let's now move, and actually already did the ad read, but let's go to our Boom and Doom performers of the evening. Brought to you by Odd Company Nation Beer. Every day lagers, perfect for game day, perfect for every damn day. Go find them. All your local. I said I got my local liquor store. They got them now in Sherwood Park. They got them. They're ready to go. Not going to drop the address. Throw them in the chat. Who brought the boom? Who brought the doom this evening? Our feet just touched. Coomzy
Keeps doing that. It's every few minutes.
It does. Tyler and Liam do it all the time. I think they do it on purpose.
Yeah,
they interlock their toes. I'll let you go first. Who brought the boom tonight? You did it again. You did it again.
Who brought the boom? Who brought the boom? Vasily Podkolzin and Kasperi Kapanen, both of them as Leon Draisaitl's wingers. Two players that weren't on the Oilers, a few months ago, and both, acquisitions that have, I think, brought the floor up on the Oilers. Like we're worried in October, where's the depth going to be after all the players that left? And those guys have come in and they've created a second line for the Oilers. I like watching those two guys play.
This is too funny not to read. Zach Bissonnette. They both look like they just got in a fight with 6 or 7 dudes. That is so accurate.
How funny is that video of Paul Bissonnette in that parking lot?
Good.
Oh my God.
Dude, the crazy part is that video in the bar. How many people are like running out of the bar and don't do a fucking thing to do anything? Like, I understand 6 guys here and there. There's hundreds of people in that bar and out in the street. If you all gang up together, you could probably help out Biz, but shout out Biz. No shoes, no shirts. Still doing his thing.
Guys, what a bunch of dorks.
What a bunch of losers. Apparently like gypsies and whatnot. Who knows? Pat, you got any booms? Who do you think brought the boom tonight?
We're talking about him right now. It's got to be Zach Hyman, right? Like, he's just so much fun to watch. Easy fan favorite. His scoring touch is back. He's putting it home. Both goals were beautiful goals.
Sick.
Yeah.
They were sick.
It's so fun to watch. He's everything I loved about Ryan Smith as a kid. It's just, he's got to be the boom.
That's pretty accurate of how they both go. And Smitty never scored 50.
True.
But we love our boy Zachary Martin Hyman. For me, my boom, I think I'm just going to go with Leon Draisaitl because this is now 6 games in a row. He has 2 points in 6 straight games, at least 2 points. He came in the last 5 with 13 points. He had 5 goals and 8 assists. Leon's just been tearing it up. We talked on pre-gaming. I think he's the MVP of the Edmonton Oilers so far this season, arguably the league, and who he's doing it with, Kapanen and Podkolzin. Not that they're scrubs, but they are not your typical top 6 players that would have Leon Draisaitl leading the league in goals right now. We got some others. Hyman's just so back. Percy, boom for Stetch. Loved his tenacity yet again. Coomzy, you've been a Troy Stetcher guy through and through. He had another good game tonight.
I started to like Troy Stetcher just watching from a distance when he played for the Canucks in the 2020 bubble playoffs. He had a great storyline. The Canucks made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. His dad was a big Canucks fan. His dad passed away shortly before that playoff run. He really led Vancouver through that playoff run, I thought. And then Chris Tanev left, and it seemed like Troy Stetcher was going to become, top pairing D-man or top 4 D-man on Vancouver. And Didn't happen. And the Oilers got him last year. Didn't play much, but I felt like his fight that he got into against the Flyers earlier this season was one of those big turning points for the Oilers in the season. And this is a number.
It was the turning point of the season.
It was the early turning point in the season. And that's the number 7 D-man you acquired last year who got injured, didn't play much, is coming out and doing that. I don't know. Just felt like that was a thing that made somebody a fan favorite very quickly.
Yep, I'd agree with that one as well. So we got that's Dooms. Anybody for Dooms? You guys got any Dooms? Like, I don't want to single out Stuart Skinner. I don't think he was that bad. I think we can all agree. Evan Bouchard gets the Doom tonight, brother. It's up and down. Oh, Pat's thinking, so he might have one as well. I'm going to say Evan Bouchard it wasn't his night from the get-go. I expect him fully to bounce back. We have been on this roller coaster for years now. It is nothing new. Don't get bent up out of shape about it. He'll come back. We even said after the first period, that just felt like a game where Bouchard would come out in the third period and score the game-winning goal. We'd all look at each other and go, I've never said a single bad thing about Evan Bouchard before. Not one bad word has ever come out of my mouth. I think it's fair to say that Bouch gets the Doom tonight. What about you?
I was going to give it to Jeff Skinner for that exact 0 on ice shot attempts, 14 against thing that I brought up earlier, but I'm looking at these numbers now a little bit further, and this matches the eye test of the bottom 6 was invisible tonight. We talked about Florida before this game, and we said, just like the Oilers, Florida lost some guys in the offseason. They don't look quite as deep as they did this time or in June of last year. And the Oilers, their depth players weren't able to step up and beat Florida's new depth players. Florida has handful of players in their lineup that weren't there when they played in the Stanley Cup final. And you'd think that Edmonton's third and fourth lines could go toe to toe with some of these guys, but they couldn't. I mean, look at these numbers here. Like Adam Henrique, 2 shot attempts, 4-13 against. Derek Ryan, 1-4-7 against.
DR played.
Apparently he was on the ice. Jan Mark, 2-4-14 against. Not good.
Nope. Liam's in. Doom. The ice being slippy.
The blue line. The cursed blue line.
Somebody go check that ice out, because I don't know what was going on in there. Randy also asks, the parade route is still on, right, fellas?
Sure.
Oh, you're damn right the parade route is still on. I still have it from last season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lance Kane and I have looked through the parade route. Pat, you look like you were mowing some things over there. You got a different Doom tonight?
Well, I was just trying to think of one because I figured you might throw it over to me. And I guess mine, I was just deciding if I wanted to give it to Tkachuk or not, because it's just
Rat boy.
I'm so sick of it. He was a pain when he was on Calgary, and he continues to be a pain for the Edmonton Oilers. And I mean, he's fun to watch, don't get me wrong, but playing against him, it's getting to me. He's got a way of changing the game, and as Coomzy mentioned, like, you can get the Oilers off their game, or any team off their game, if they're focused on playing the players and not the game, and then the puck's in the back of your own net. So that would be mine, I suppose. But
I blame the mouth guard. It pisses me off so much. It's just, they even asked him about it before the game, and he was like, why are you asking me this? I could go with that. The Doom, some here, the Oilers ice staff. Yeah, in here, God, I hate Tkachuk. Yeah, Kachuk's very punchable face for sure. Yep, I think we can all agree on that one. Let's go now. Let's talk positively. Let's be positive. And let's talk Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today and use the code NATION. So, Bouchard, you didn't have a great game, but you hit your shot prop, and that's all that matters. First one this evening, we had Hyman, shot prop, to get 3 shots on goal. He finished with 6 this evening, so that one minus 140, but we felt so confident about it, we just had to do it. The second one, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Leon, 2 points. Bam, that cashed as well. Juicy plus 140. And then the Bouch, man, he had 4 shots on goal this evening. Just needed 3 at a nice plus 110. I bet them all separately. I parlayed them all together for a cool plus 700. And bang, we up on the night. That's 2 games in a row, going 3 for 3. Also on Thursday, I went 2 for 3. We are starting to heat up, much like me and Stuart Skinner were both. Maybe not Stu tonight. Whatever. You get the point I'm making. Also, shout out to my boy Lance Kane, because he has been DMing me nonstop. He has officially left the Tyler Yaremchuk betting train, and it's all aboard the Bordzy bus, and we are profiting. So there we go. He bet some of those. I do know on Lance's parlay. I never told you to do it. I tell you to bet Bordzy's bankroll. You threw in Oilers money line. You did that to yourself. You got greedy, Lance. Well, we had that. Pat, you make any money tonight on Bet365?
No, nothing for me today, unfortunately.
Well,
I should have rode with you. You're hot right now.
I am. I'm scorching hot right now. Mackay and Dry, this one made me laugh. You points out to be in pre-gaming. Bordzy's bet only what you can afford Z bankroll. Bet responsibly. Bet only what you are willing to lose or afford Z's. I like that as well. Yep. Lance Kane, I don't want the money if the Oilers don't win. But when they lose, you can still be like, I won. Nice way to hang your hat on that come the end of the evening. Let's go. I just want to squeeze in a read here for our friends at Sober Carpenter Craft Beer Reimagined. This year, Sober Carpenter celebrates 5 years of brewing award-winning non-alcoholic craft beer. From hoppy IPAs to rich Irish Reds, they've got the flavor without the buzz. Find Sober Carpenter at Sobeys and Loblaws, delivered straight to your door at sobercarpenter.com or at your favorite liquor stores across Alberta. Cheers to 5 years of staying true to the craft. Sober Carpenter, crafted for those who sip differently. Said it's the holiday season. I'm getting old. We talked about it. You asked me today. I'm 29 years young. Emphasis on the last part. You asked me, are they starting to become 48-day hangovers? I said, I don't know about that, but I would say 36-hour, 48-day hangovers. We're not that bad. 48-hour hangovers. I'm feeling I'm at like 36-hour hangovers right now, but we're going to buckle up. We're going to make it. We're going to make it through the holidays, and Sober Carpenter is a way you can do that. Anything else we haven't really touched on throughout this evening? I mentioned the pods. Oh, we did kind of touch on Connor Brown. Dude, he's already got 6 goals on the season in 31 games. He had 4 in 71 games last season, and he's just kind of coming into his own. I don't expect him. What's a number that you'd be happy Connor Brown goals-wise this year? Like, if he scores 15,
10, 15.
Shit, dude, sign me up. Like, that's a great season.
What's his contract? Like 1.5 mils?
Yeah, but it has the bonus as well, right?
Right. Last year's bonus onto this one. I think if you get him to 10 or 15, in that realm.
13 goals. I'll go with 13
Sure.
goals, but I just think Brownie's looked really good lately. Yes, the bottom 6 there wasn't that great, but Brownie found a way to produce, got a goal and an assist. He's an absolute dog on the PK, man. Him and Janmark are they just got something going on that they have been able to build the chemistry. They were all, or Connor Brown, I will say, was awesome tonight. We touched on pods. Anything else, Coombs, we haven't touched on that you wanna mention before we say goodnight?
That's tough, actually. I think we got everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that as a no. Final one for me. Go check out nationgear.ca, people, because it's Christmas time and it's time for pucks, cheer, and holiday gear. That's right. We got an Oilers Nation Christmas sweater on the website. Ho, ho, hope will never die. And also, while you're there, nationgear.ca, use promo code BORDZY10. Get yourself 10% off at checkout. It's Christmas time. Order some of these bad boys. Or you want to get a gift for yourself? I've done that before.
Hell yeah.
You know, when you go Christmas shopping at West Edmonton Mall or even online and you're like, well, I worked hard for this. I should get 2 in the cart. Get one of these for your loved ones. Get one for yourself. And of course, shout out to the super chats that were in the chat. I know I have missed some of these, so we're going to catch up. As I mentioned, all this money is in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. For a super chat, Lance Kane threw $2 and says, honestly, what do you want from Stu on these goals? Darian said $6.99 again. The real win tonight was Draisaitl at 70% in the faceoff dot.
That's
a
good.
new personal best. Did he even get kicked out tonight? I'm confused. That is a good point. I didn't notice him getting thrown out a lot.
Nope, not at all.
That is an outlier of all outliers, to be fair. Good catch, Darian. That was worth the $6.99 to throw that in the chat.
That's a good eye.
That is. So that will do it for us tonight. Oilers Nation After Dark. We love you all. Throw down your courtesy like. That one was spicy. I think we kind of talked it out here. We feel good. Remember, the Edmonton Oilers were red hot coming into this. We've had a gauntlet of all gauntlets. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Vegas. Did you really think they were going to sweep, including Boston, all 5 of these games? No. You're upset of the result and how it went down because you did have the lead, but You're going to be even more motivated when we rematch the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals this upcoming season, or upcoming playoff, I should say. Shout out to our sponsors, Greta Bar Yeg, Oodle Noodle, Odd Company, Bet365, Sober Carpenter, NationGear.ca. I think that's it. We'll go with that. Oh, actually, final one, Wilhock Beef Jerky. Shouts out to them as well. They do good stuff. Could have used some Wilhock to munch on tonight. Would have helped with the anxiety through and through on this one. But that'll do it for us. I love you all. Tomorrow, Oilers Nation every day, 12:01 Mountain Standard Time. We can find out if that was, in fact, the real Liam Horban in the chat. I'm sure Tyler will be nice and fired up, have some takes. Going to be joined by Frank Saravoli, of course, as we do every single Wednesday. I love you all. Sleep tight, like Lance said. Just put After Dark on repeat if you must to get to bed tonight. I love you all. Peace out. Good night. Have a good sleep, everybody.
Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I did say that. Thanks, Pat, for keeping us up. I love you all.